Hello there guys. I decided I'd film a vlog about all the problems I've been experiencing over the past few years in regards to my sinuses. I feel like I've left most of you pretty much in the dark about all the issues I've been having and whatnot. I've just kind of described it as just me being ill and stuff like that. And, well, you know, I did plan to talk about it at some point. I feel like this is kind of a fitting time to do so since I've hit some form of a conclusion. So this is going to be a very straight talking vlog. I'm not going to edge around details as well, so if you're a little bit weak stomached, you might not want to watch this, though I can guarantee it's not too bad, to be honest. And, well, you know, I'm just going to flow through this. I'm not going to do any editing or anything like that. I'm just going to keep talking. So, I guess it would be best to start from the very beginning. I think it was around about 2009. 2009, that's 9 years ago now. I would have been 18 at the time. My health started to kind of slide down a little bit. I had always been relatively sickly, but I was pretty on top of my game at that point, very much in shape, fit, active, out there a lot of the time. And I don't know, things just started to go really downhill. I'd have to go for various doctor visits, you know, per month, and generally what I was experiencing was from that point to pretty much about 4 or 5 years later, I was just catching colds all the time. It just felt like my immune system wasn't there at all, and I would see doctors and I would say, you know, I feel like there's something more wrong, but we're not really going into detail here. Before I knew it, though, the symptoms will have died down, and it just seemed like a common cold. It just seemed like I was catching a common cold all the time. The sort of symptoms I was experiencing were sort of thick gunk coming from my nose, going down the back of my nose into my throat, the sinuses, you know, into the back of my throat. Very much experiencing a lot of sore throats, really strong headaches and stuff like that, and that would last maybe about 5 days at a time, sometimes more, you know, but I would be in bed, I would feel exhausted all the time, and it was a reoccurring thing which would happen maybe every 2 weeks to, say, 3 months. So yeah, I kept seeing doctors. None of them really seemed to think anything was wrong with me. They'd get me on antibiotics sometimes, say that I had some sort of infection, though they'd never be too sure. So, yeah, that persisted. It kept going on like that until around about, I think, 2015, 2016. Now, I did do some vlogs, I don't know if they're still on my channel, where you probably saw me, if you did watch them back then, just in a very sort of groany, nasty state. And that was around the time things started picking up a bit more. A bit more would be an understatement, a lot more. The yellow gunk and stuff that was coming from my nose, it just wasn't going. It was stuck there. From month to month to month, I was just like that all the time. Doctors had me on antibiotics all the time. You know, I was told it was this infection, that infection, another infection, but none of them could really seem to get to the root of it. So I just waited. I pretty much just waited and waited and waited, and just nothing changed. It stayed like that for good. You know, it just wasn't going. It wasn't shifting. And I mean, like, day to day, I couldn't smell, couldn't taste, I just felt awful. I was in bed most of the time, and yeah, like, it really wasn't good. I just felt like my life was ending at that point, because I just wasn't doing much day to day, you know. It was literally just like having a cold every single day, but, like, you know, that phase of a cold where you feel like your body is collapsing. So things only really got worse from that point, unfortunately. They never really got much better. I saw some doctors, and I kept getting misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis. in regards to what was going on with me. I mean, really bad misdiagnoses as well. At one point, the worst thing that happened is I got misdiagnosed with HIV. And after numerous tests, found out that wasn't the case. The doctor probably wasn't in the right place to make that kind of assumption. But yeah, I was more kind of... I probably should have been very angry at him, but I was more kind of concerned to try and find out what exactly was going wrong with me. So I kept going back, and nothing really came out of it until... I think it was early last year. I had changed doctors because I'd moved houses. So I'd moved into this flat that I'm at here. That was towards the end of... no, it was the beginning of last year, that's right. Beginning of last year, yeah. So I changed doctors, you see. And I went to see a new doctor that I'd never seen before. And she was really nice. She understood that I have been having these symptoms and been having these problems consistently for all that time period. I mean, it had been going on for well over a year by this point. She understood that things had been going on beforehand. And she said, well, you know, I think you need to see someone higher up, someone who really understands what's going on here. So she referred me to the hospital. And I got seen by another doctor a few months later. And this man... I was I was genuinely happy to talk to because he seemed to understand what was going on with me and genuinely seemed interested in actually getting to the bottom of it. So, at first, while doing tests and stuff like that, he had me on some medication which helped a lot. Admittedly, he had me on some really strong steroids. He had me on like nose sprays and drops and stuff like that. I had been taking nose sprays beforehand, but none of them really helped that much overall. They just kind of made things lighten them up a little bit. And well, another thing he had me doing as well was using a neti pot to flush my sinuses. If you don't know what one of those is, one of these little things, what you do is you fill it up with a bit of saline solution. Is it saline? Baking soda, sorry. You fill it up with a bit of salt and kettle boiled water, let it cool down, pour it in. You put it in one nostril, you tilt your head, and the water will flow into one nostril, come out the other. Kind of flushes you through, so to speak, softens stuff up a bit, gets it moving. It's nasty stuff, and it really doesn't feel pleasant at all, but it does you some good. It really does. So if ever you have a cold, yeah, or if you're suffering from sinus problems yourself, yeah, but stuff like this, it helped a lot. I started to feel better immediately. I wasn't feeling great, but I was feeling better. If you get me, I still had very low points, but I was feeling better. That was the most important thing. So, yeah, he had me have various scans and stuff like that, and I visited back a few months later again. And, well, I suppose this comes to the damning part. He had me there, and he was like, well, there's not really much we can do, unfortunately. There isn't anything we can do to get rid of this. It's a permanent thing. So I am stuck with these sinus problems that I've been having for life, unfortunately. However, he told me, well, you know, you can continue what you've been doing in regards to taking the steroids. Oh my God, I would rather have stayed away from them because, while they helped in the short term, coming off them and also being on them as well, being on steroids, they made me rapidly put on weight because I know for a fact that like a lot of people on steroids, they tend to have heightened hunger and stuff like that. So my appetite flew through the roof. I started packing on weight very quickly. I mean, I've been putting it on over the past few years as well because of not really doing much, not being very energetic. But at that point, I was piling it on. I was absolutely piling it on. And then, well, you can't be on steroids for too long, so you have to come off them because I actually don't know the reason. It's either it has some sort of addictive element to it or it's harmful in the long run. I'm not sure. Probably the latter. But coming off them, the withdrawals were incredible. I have never experienced something so strong in my life. I'm not kidding. Like, it felt like, I can't remember how I described it, like a really bad ache in your bones, like just this constant pain inside your bones. It's so bizarre, but I felt so weak and lifeless for a few days afterwards. It was strange. It was really strange. I don't know if that was just a side effect that I experienced or that everyone experiences, but yeah. Moving back, sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there. Yeah, he said that I could keep on that. I could keep on doing that. I could keep on doing the neti pot, keep on doing the nose spray, or alternatively, I could have a surgery that would potentially lower the symptoms that I'm experiencing. The surgery that he mentioned was endoscopic sinus surgery, I think it's called. And I was kind of more interested in that. What he told me was that if it goes right, yes, it will lower the symptoms. If it goes wrong, like the infection could come back immediately full force. I could lose potentially some of my scent, some of my taste permanently. And the other downside was, well, of course, with any surgery, there can be fatalities, of course. But otherwise, oh God, that was the worst one. Well, he began describing exactly what the procedure consisted of. So essentially what was wrong with me was I had something called polyps. Now, they were at the very back of your sinuses, kind of round about here. You have like some sort of indentations to the side, and mine were just full of pus that had kind of embedded itself in. On top of that, it was much worse, but I'll describe that later. He didn't know that at the time. He didn't know that. But yeah, I would essentially have that removed through surgery. However, one of the things that could go wrong with it, which he described, and oh my God, it really grossed me out. I just kind of shut off at that point. He said that during the surgery, one of the issues that can occur is there is a very delicate bone towards the top of where your sinuses are that kind of separates your where your brain is to your sinuses. That can come dislodged. It can result in brain fluids leaking down your nose, and yeah, not pleasant at all to even think about, especially when you're me and you hate the thought of anything to do with the brain going wrong. So yeah, despite that, I thought, well, you know, I don't feel like there's much to lose. I don't want to stay in the condition I am, you know, that I've been in for all this time. Despite the fact it is a little bit better, I feel it might be worth the gamble. So I agreed to the surgery. And yeah, the months coming up to it, I did start to feel worse. So I'm really glad I went ahead with it. I mean, I'm sure you can tell that it's had a positive impact in me without me even going into it. But, you know, I will do anyway. So coming up to the surgery, well, I had to visit a hospital that was, I think, about maybe 3/4 of an hour drive from where I am. Wind, my fiance, was nice enough to take me there. And yeah, like I went through that. And oh God, coming away from it, it was one of the worst things I've ever experienced because it caused a lot of like gunk and blood to kind of just come out of my nose and stuff like that. It really wasn't pleasant overall. But I mean, within the next 2 days after the surgery, I really started to feel better already. Like, better than I had been for a long time. I was surprised. I was really surprised. I think around that time I began to taste and smell as well, and that was such an experience. Because I swear, in my entire life, I'd never tasted that strong before. It was pretty incredible. The other thing I forgot to mention, actually, is I didn't just have the infection removed, But, well, I did say during when I was talking about the surgery, the surgeon said that it was actually a lot worse than he anticipated. There was actually cysts up there and stuff like that. So he removed those. It was nice enough to do that. He seemed to do a very good job with it. But also he widened my right hand sinus because, honestly, throughout my entire life, I've never been able to breathe very well through my right nostril. What it would be like is the equivalent to, well, I can breathe perfectly fine down my left, like that, you see. But with the right, it was like if I covered most of it over with my finger like that and then tried to breathe down it, shall we say. It was very tight. Could never get much airflow down it. So he widened it out. And honestly, now that he's done that, I cannot tell the difference at all between my left and my right. They both give me the same sort of airflow. But yeah, like during my recovery, I really started to feel better. I wasn't having these strong headaches all the time, pretty much straight afterwards. They were gone. They were gone completely. I haven't had a single headache since I had surgery, I don't think. I might have had a very mild one at points, but, you know, that's very much bearable in comparison to what I had to go through before. I can guarantee that. Because I'd be in bed, like, groaning and just feeling sorry for myself whenever they occurred. Yeah, like, like, generally speaking, I just feel a lot better in myself. I feel like I'm able to do a lot more, just get on with stuff and just feel normal. Yeah. Now, things are probably not going to stay like this forever, unfortunately. I mean, going back a bit, I did say this was a permanent thing. I'm stuck with this forever, unfortunately. And for a start, something that everything hasn't gone back to normal, so to speak. I am still taking nose sprays because I've got to hold back this infection, so to speak. And of course, I've still got this thing. I'm still doing this. I still have yellow gunk and stuff like that, unfortunately. But, you know, it's controllable. It's controllable. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's very much manageable. I can tell now, I can kind of gauge, like, how bad I'm feeling, how much, you know, I need to do the neti pot or use the nose spray or stuff like that, you know. And I've just got to work with it. I've just got to get on with things. And, well, saying that, get on with things, I feel like during this entire period, this started in 2009, my life just kind of grinded to a halt. And now I feel able to just do stuff. You know, I feel like I'm able to just move back on track. Something I didn't mention is that I am very badly asthmatic as well. Have a lot of allergies. So you can probably imagine how they worked hand in hand with the problems I've been having with my sinuses. I am still getting used to just like walking around without getting out of breath and stuff like that. I've just come so unhinged over the past few years in comparison to, how I was when I was a teenager. So out of shape, such a mess. So, yeah, just kind of looking to get back on the road at this stage, just trying to get things going again. Honestly, before the surgery, when I thought, well, if things go right, I'm going to be able to do so much. And I was looking forward to it so much. So much so that I got so excited that I was able to do so many things that, after surgery, I tried to take on so much that I just kind of got exhausted and stopped. Then I did the same thing again, and it's just been on repeat. That's kind of why I've been coming back and forth to YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. Because, honestly, I'm able to work so much faster than I used to be able to, and just, yeah. I'm taking on too much. I need to kind of slow down and just get the pacing right, Focus on one thing at a time as well. My God, that has been a major issue, yeah. So, I suppose that's everything I've got to say. Another thing, maybe leading on to another vlog here. I mean, this will allow me to keep myself in check. I did mention my weight has become a problem. Well, I never mentioned it became a problem, but it has become a problem over the past few years. I am getting big. I'm getting stretch marks. I'm not happy about that. Really aren't. I don't fit in any of my own old clothes or anything like that. And, well, yeah. Maybe you guys can help me keep in check. I was thinking I need to lose a lot of weight. I need to lose a lot of weight and mostly get fit. Get fit, yeah. So, yeah. Maybe that's something I can vlog about in future. I think that's a good idea. It'll keep me in check, you know. Give me something to worry about. Like, oh no, I'm letting people down. But, generally, I hope this vlog, you know, if any of you watching have experienced the same problems, or perhaps in future experience the same problems or something like that, which I hope you never do, of course. I just hope that this helps you. I really, really do, because honestly, being kept in the dark all the time that I have in regards to what the issues have been wrong with me and what's been going on, it just wasn't pleasant, and I wish I would have known a bit more sooner, just so I could get on with things, just so I could help myself out a little bit, or, you know. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself, guys. I'll see you for more vlogs and more streams, more gameplay in future.